everyone. We're back for our second episode of Podcast Demastered. This is where we talk about gaming, film, anime, and everything in between. Let's get into it. Welcome back. I'm Chelsea, and I'm joined by my friends Ethan and Wade. Today we'll give you our thoughts on this week's game announcements, the premiere of Loki, and discuss if multiplayer games need single-player campaigns. So, it's time for a week in review. So what stood out to you guys the most? And, it doesn't have to necessarily be game-related, but let's just dive right into it. There was so much that happened this week.
Yeah, it's definitely been a busy last half of the week with all the conferences and stuff.
So busy.
Yeah, right? More so than usual, just because I feel like everyone has a showcase. Before it literally was just like, hey, it's E3. But now it's, you had Netflix's thing, and then you had Jeff Keighley's Divergent E3. And then you got all these other like indie shows with Tribeca is like brand new this year, and then you had Day of the Devs with I Am 8-Bit. Like there was so much. And
so what about Netflix Geek Week then? What stood out to you at that show?
Gosh. Honestly, like there were some cool announcements. They didn't really have anything to show really, besides maybe just like title art or like a name. But like a trailer wise, that Masters of the Universe revival, I think it's called Masters of the Universe Revelations, that's like being headed up by Kevin Smith. That show looks badass. Like
Didn't that trailer look good?
That trailer was so good. I watched it like 30 times. And I hate it. I hate it when any kind of like TV show or movie or whatever takes like an old like 70s or 80s song and tries to like implement it into the trailer or whatever for like nostalgia purposes or whatever. But choosing that song for Masters of the Universe, the I Need a Hero, God, that was perfect. Like that trailer just slaps. And Mark Hamill as Skeletor, like I'm all in.
Always amazing.
In. God, it looks so good. It made me kind of nervous seeing that it was Kevin Smith, showrunner. I'm not really a huge Kevin Smith fan. I can't even say he's overrated because I don't even think he has enough of a following to be overrated. I just don't necessarily like anything he's ever done. But Masters of the Universe looks pretty badass. So yeah. There was a lot more. I mean, I had no idea that they were doing a anime series for like Norse mythology being headed up by Zack Snyder, who I'm like I'm a huge fanboy of Zack Snyder. Kill me, internet, whatever. Fuck you guys.
I'm gonna keep an eye on that one.
But
Norse mythology is
no
just
hate towards you,
kind of
no
a
hate.
miss, so.
Right. Yeah, Norse mythology. Oh man, Snyder is
That's your
like
jam.
All mythology is my jam.
Yeah.
But I think Snyder does such an awesome job handling mythology. Like his whole, like even his like DC slate is basically like a DC mythology. Like how he handles those characters is very mythological in a sense. And him diving into Norse mythology and doing it with anime so he can get all kinds of crazy with it. Like that seems very cool. They showed I think they showed like a cast sheet, and it actually had some pretty big name talent in it for like the voice cast, but like literally nothing else was shown. Like I don't even think they had like concept art or anything. But and then yeah, they something that was like kind of cool, but also was like no one was really asking for it, was the Splinter Cell anime. I really love Splinter Cell as a video game. And apparently Ubisoft is totally against making that game anymore.
Yep. Let it sleep.
So they're making it a show?
Yeah, that's like a whole nother... We could probably spend a whole episode about my hatred of Ubisoft not making Splinter Cell games anymore. But...
Okay.
But a Splinter Cell anime, like, whatever. If they get Michael Ironside to voice Sam Fisher, then I'll watch it. It'll be cool. And then... There was a few other things. I saw that they got original composer from Cowboy Bebop, from like the actual like anime. Like he's back to do the live action show. I didn't actually see if. Did you guys see if they like showed anything for that show?
It was
Not
just
that I
that
saw.
little like announcement for the music, so that's all we saw for it.
Yeah, that I thought for sure that there would be a trailer. Like that comes out in the fall. There wasn't even like a teaser. There wasn't like, hey, this is what the characters look like. Like nothing. Like
Everybody was
like
talking about the hairstyle in the video, and that was it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's a teaser we get at this point.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, the hair's a big deal. The hair's
It
a
is.
big deal.
I mean, Spike's got good hair. You know, dude knows how to dress.
We could talk about Dragon Ball Evolution and Goku's hair in that.
Bringing it back to Dragon Ball
It's
again.
Always back to Dragon
It's always everything always comes back to Dragon Ball. I think we kind of missed an opportunity naming our podcast.
Oh,
We
no.
should have just named
No,
it
no, no.
Everything's Dragon Ball.
We're still in our infancy. You never know.
Yeah, we could do a spinoff.
So, was that about the highlights you had for Netflix for the Geek Week?
I mean, they had the Cuphead show, which I knew that was in the works for a while. I've never played the game, but I love the art style for Cuphead. I just never played it because I knew, knowing what kind of game that is, it just sounds like the definition of anxiety. So, never played it, but I love the art style. They announced Wayne Brady as King Dice, so that's cool. And they had like a short little clip or whatever. But I don't know. It's. I was surprised on how many video games are getting Netflix shows. Honestly, like there was a lot. They had like Ubisoft also had the what was it? Captain Laserhawk or whatever, which is like loosely based off of Far Cry Blood Dragon, which was like a DLC for like Far Cry 3, I think. So, hitting the deep cuts
Interesting.
Yep.
for some of these shows. And then, they got 2 different versions of Resident Evil. They got the animated Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which I think takes place after Resident Evil 4 in the timeline, for those of you who are Resident Evil fans. And then they also have the live-action Resident Evil movie, which also, no trailer, no anything. They showed the fucking cast just sitting in a room. Like, I already knew the cast. Like, I want to see trailers. I want to see footage. I don't care if the trailer's 30 seconds. Like, give me something. But yeah, I don't know. I think there was a few other things. Like, they had like there was another Godzilla movie, or I think it's a movie. And they have like another Gundam, not the live action Gundam, but like just another animated Gundam. I think it's a movie too. So I don't know. They had a lot of stuff, but the Masters of the Universe and the Twilight of the Gods are the ones that really stood out to me as like something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. Wade, was there like anything from Geek Week that you saw that piqued your interest?
Masters of the Universe. Yeah, for sure. You can't go wrong there. I'll probably keep an eye on the Twilight of the Gods show from Zack Snyder. See how that looks once we get closer. And the Cuphead show, I just saw like a couple of the clips that they posted. And I did giggle a little bit, so I might try that out.
I just think that art style is so cool. It's so
It is. It
reminds me of like Steamboat Willie style, like Disney old Disney animation. Like, it's just real. It's super charming looking. If they like nail the writing and nail the comedy, I think that could be a huge hit.
Let's
Nice.
hope.
Okay, so Summer Game Fest. Let's move on to that one. So that was kind of like a
Summer
big
Game
deal
Fest.
to kick off right before
Summer
E3 and
Game
everything.
Fest.
So, what did you guys think?
Well, I like that Summer Game Fest kind of it kind of gave a platform to like some smaller developers to let them have some space. And I thought that was so cool that they didn't have to try to fit themselves in around the big guys. Ethan, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that, because a lot of times in E3 of yore, with the big three publishers, a lot of these indie titles, if they were shown at all, they'd be like smashed in between your Halos and your Uncharted and everything, and people
like a big montage.
Yeah,
at the end or
exactly, and
something
people
like that.
totally. Yeah, or usually it'd be like ID at Xbox, and it'd be like 30 seconds, and it'd show like 17 titles, and then you'd be like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I don't know what any of these are. I didn't get titles for, it's just like, oh, and here's some indie stuff you guys can play. So
Yeah.
I agree. It was cool seeing them have like a platform. The thing that I didn't really is like, I don't know, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, I feel like he hoisted Summer Game Fest up higher than it had the capacity to be.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, and maybe it was just like my own expectations were maybe too high, but I feel like they were like making that seem like it was going to be a bigger deal than what it actually turned out to be. Like, it had one big announcement that everyone was waiting for, or, I don't know if they were expecting it, but like people were waiting for this game to be shown, not necessarily Game Fest, but just in general. But yeah, like they didn't really. That's the,
It was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah. I don't know if they should have painted themselves to have those high expectations or what, but it's also hard because it's brand new, so you kind of have to get out there with a huge marketing push.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think tomorrow. I think next year it'll look pretty good to some degree too, because I think it was just a thing where he was going, hey, like we do have this other platform, and maybe we can make it more comfortable for developers to come do this instead of E3. So maybe people saw that this year, and maybe it'll work out better for him next year.
Yeah. Like, I thought it had good pacing, and I thought Jeff was like a good host.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, one of the highlights from that show that wasn't gaming related or anything was early on when he had Hideo Kojima on there, and Jeff was all like, he's like, "Oh, Kojima, I know, what's going on, man? I know it's early, but or no, it's like 3 a.m. there, but what's going on?" And Hideo just like straight face, he's like, "We're state of emergency, shit's got real over here, everyone's panicking, Japan's kind of a fucking nightmare right now." But don't
Jeff's just
worry.
Kind of like not really rolling with it very well.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kojima thought he was on 60 Minutes instead of Summer Game Fest. Like the dark sense of humor in me just like started laughing because I was like, man, this guy is like, yeah, my country's fucked right now, but don't worry, I'll make your game for you. Just like, oh, Kojima.
And Jeff was, oh, we were so close to getting that announcement. I almost had you.
Right.
Like, wow, Jeff.
Like,
man.
That was the perfect way to kick off that show. Just
That'll make it memorable.
Brought it down to real life. I was not. Also with Kojima's, I was not expecting a Death Stranding director's cut at all, because usually Kojima doesn't have director's cuts because he's very much, his game is already the director's cut.
Yep, it's done. Moving on.
So I don't know if that was one of those things where Death Stranding came out because Sony needed it to come out, or if Kojima's just like, oh, but wait, I have some more shit to throw into this game that's already convoluted. So, I don't know.
I was wondering that too. I was really surprised. And I'm like, I have not actually played Death Stranding, so I don't know how the game actually is. But I was surprised, there's a director's cut coming out. So I really want to know what's actually being included in that.
Yeah, because, I haven't played the game either. But, just listening to the water cooler talk on Twitter about Death Stranding is that game should have needs more editing than less. So yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a surprise, kind of an unnecessary surprise, I guess. I was kind of hoping to at least get a title for Kojima's next game. I know it's like super early because Death Stranding's only like 2 years out, but one of like Kojima's like counterpart, the guy who does like all like the artwork, and I can't remember his name right now, but he like teased like months ago saying like, oh yeah, we, announcements coming soon of what we're working on, so just hang tight. And so I was kind of expecting that to happen, and Kojima's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of waiting to see what's happening in the world. I gotta find my allegory to make a whole game on, so...
So you get a director's cut instead.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got to find the next big thing. Death Stranding was basically just like commentary on social media and shit like that, so maybe he'll do a game about COVID, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh man. Somebody has to make a game about COVID.
All right.
Yeah, they already put it in TV shows, so.
I think it's called The Division. So. But yeah. That's, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like the really big thing from Game Fest that tickled my fancy was Elden Ring. So that game looks everything I wanted it to be. I cannot wait. I kind of wish it was coming out in the fall, but I'll wait till January. That's fine. But the idea of basically yeah, it's not too long. But like the idea of an open world Dark Souls, basically, like, oh god, it sounds awesome. And I just saw the other day, or like yesterday, they were putting up more like bullet points breaking down the game, and someone listed on there that it's like multiplayer up to 4 players.
Oh, that's
now
cool.
all the FromSoft games besides Sekiro have multiplayer in them. They're just not like, they're not super, it's not just like drop in, hey, let's just go play. It's, you have to have like certain items, you have to be certain parts in the game. It's for a short amount of time, or, there's always been multiplayer components. So just saying the game's multiplayer up to 4 players doesn't necessarily tell me anything, but I'm hoping that it would just be like, hey, yeah, just play the whole game with 3 other friends. Like, that'd
really be awesome.
That would be so fucking cool.
I might not die all the time if that happens.
Oh, you still would. You still would.
It'd be less depressing.
Yeah, exactly. You can laugh about it more because your friends would be dying right next to you.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm super excited for Elden Ring. I love the FromSoft games. I didn't really get into Sekiro because that's a whole different type of combat that I don't really like. I really like the Dark Souls combat. It's more defense oriented. You can turtle up and just kind of wear them down instead of going on the offensive like the Bloodborne and Sekiro style. Like that's harder for me to get into. But I don't know. I'm super pumped for Elden Ring. I'm glad it's finally coming. It makes sense that it's cross-gen because it was announced for last gen only. So
right,
makes sense that it would be cross-gen. I don't know. I couldn't really tell. Like, I know George R. R. Martin's a part of it, and he's supposed to do like the lore for that game, but just looking at like a 2-minute trailer, like it literally just looks like FromSoft games. So I don't know what kind of influence Martin had on anything. So
whatever he can get into to put off his books, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. He's basically just finding an excuse not to write those books at this point. So, which is fine. By the time it actually comes out, everybody will forgot that even it was a thing. So they'll be like, "Oh, what's this? This looks like an interesting series."
Maybe
they'll make a new TV show.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just remake the whole thing again. I don't know. What about you guys? Was there anything from Game Fest that was cool that stood out to you?
I don't know. For me, I was just I watched it. I thought it was okay. There was nothing I had to buy immediately or anything or really want to get.
Yeah.
So
same.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the show, maybe like, I don't know, a better part of the show was more just like games that have been around for a while, and it's just like, hey, we got new skins, or we got this weird item, or guess what, this character's in this game. And
is that where the 2B Fall Guy was?
Yeah. 2B Fall Guy's character. I feel like the show had a lot of that kind of shit, and then also just like a lot of the games that were announced. Obviously Amazon was like a huge sponsor, so they're definitely gonna pump up Amazon Game Studios. But like all those games are like the same fucking game. They're all just like online MMO RPGs that just look like every fucking other online MMO RPG that's ever been made. So it's just like it's hard to get excited about it when it's just like, yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, there's dragons, check.
Yeah.
Fantasy nonsense, check. Like it all makes sense.
Somebody else will have to get me excited about those MMOs that they announced, because I was just like,
Like,
right,
what's different about them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Kid Ethan would have loved really any of these. But now where I'm at, I'm just like, I can't get into any of this shit. Like I don't have the time or the interest to get into an MMO. I just can't. Too much of a time sink.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah. I thought something that was cool about the Summer Game Fest, though, is I did like the live performances. Some of the music. They had the performer, I can't remember her name now, but she did during the Sable, that indie game. Like she had like she's part of like the soundtrack or whatever. She had that little number, and then Weezer, unfortunately.
Weezer looks a lot different than the last time I saw them.
Right. God help them. But they were, they had that, and then they had the little snippet from the symphony.
That was cool.
Symphony for Sonic.
Yep.
That was cool. Like honestly, I would rather just be like, yeah, just play some more of this. Take away your.
Let's have a concert.
Yeah, take away your Valorant fucking update and nonsense I don't care about, and let's get some more of this orchestra playing. Get some more of the Philharmonic going.
I was a little surprised that they chose, like, they did the Sonic concert, which is great, but I was surprised that they chose music from Sonic Unleashed.
Right.
Instead of one of the more like classic-er songs.
Or the ones that people actually like.
Yeah, to get people like, look, this is happening like at the end of the month. Why don't you come watch it?
Yeah.
Because I was listening to the song and I was like, I don't recognize that tune at all.
Yeah. Yeah, they picked like one of the most obscure like Black Sheep Sonic games to highlight. But I guess it makes sense because this is kind of the black sheep of Game Fests, so it fit right in.
Well, usually every year at the same time as E3, they do a Distance Worlds concert for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
They always schedule one every year right on top of E3 so that people at E3 they can walk across the block and go listen to that.
Right.
But I don't think that happened this year. I don't think it did, although I don't think there's been many Distant Worlds concerts for quite a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if that was going on, that would have been cool to have in the show too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know you called this game show or the Game Fest the like Black Sheep or whatever, and I know that we talked about previously about how it gave a little bit more spotlight to indie games, and I feel like indie games in general have honestly been the highlight for me for this whole like last couple days of game shows and everything, and I think that Day of the Devs, which was right after Summer Game Fest, had a lot of good games in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that I would probably play any of them.
Oh, yeah, that musical story game.
Musical story looks awesome.
It's probably just the musician in me, but I started watching that trailer and I was like, okay,
yeah,
we can do this.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, Wade, specifically about that, since you are the musician. But like the whole, like they were explaining the gameplay of it, the rhythm-based gameplay, about how it doesn't actually have prompts, that you just have to like listen to the music and organically kind of like know when to hit your notes kind of thing. It's kind of like jazz almost.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like very like improvisational. You just kind of have to like feel the song out, if that makes sense. Like that was really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of thing in the like the music rhythm based games that we've seen in quite a while, but I'm really interested in trying it out.
Yeah, because like just like the prompts, like everything about it was like the gameplay prompts seemed super simple and like minimalist. So when I'm watching it at first, I was like, oh my god, this seems like a mobile game. Like this seems like something that could get pretty boring or like repetitive after a while, because like the prompts would be too easy. But then like when they explain like, oh yeah, we don't actually like time it out or tell you when to hit the prompt. It's kind of up to you to figure it out based on like how you're vibing essentially with the song. I was like, damn, that's cool. And like the story like that kind of encompasses it is like seems really cool. Like 70s era, kind of like that like Woodstock era. Following like this like struggling band. They got like drug addiction and alcoholism, and I was like, dude, this looks cool. Like the whole style of it looks cool as shit. Like I cannot wait. I didn't catch like what is it? Did they announce what it's coming out on, or was it just like we're making it? I didn't even see what it was. Like, is it just on Steam? Can anyone see that?
I don't recall. Yeah, I don't think it specifically said a particular system or anything.
That's the problem. It's like a lot of these indie games or whatever usually are just like on Steam, and I'm not a PC guy, so I don't ever get to play any of them unless they come to consoles. A lot of like indie games usually start out on Steam and then they'll make their way to the Switch, at minimum. So I'm kind of hoping that seems like a really good Switch game. Like that seems like that would be perfect for the Switch.
It doesn't seem like there's a release date for that yet, but there is a demo on Steam.
Yeah, see, already right there, just ruined my expectations. This fucking Steam game.
I'll try it out for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And another game that caught my eye was Behind the Frame. It was, it just seemed kind of basic, but it looked really pretty. It's like a point and click adventure where it's like an artist and she has a neighbor across in the other like apartment across way from her, and just like discovers like little puzzles and stuff in her apartment and uncovers stories. And I think she learns about the old guy that like doesn't talk to her across the street. And it kind of has like this watercolor art to it, almost like a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah. Oh, not to backtrack. It's technically still an indie game, but it wasn't on Day of the Devs. But you said watercolor, and it kind of reminded me. The game that was shown at I think it was Summer Game Fest, Planet of Lana.
Oh yeah. That
also had that sort of like hand painted, like mural kind of watercolor like backgrounds, and looks like it's going to be a 2D, adventure game, kind of like some strong like Ori in the Blind Forest and Will of the Wisp vibe. But I'm pretty sure they said that was like Xbox exclusive too.
Yes.
But that game looked gorgeous. Like I just love that whole style of that. I'm super excited. That looked really cool. Speaking of hand painted art style.
Yeah, and I thought another interesting art style we saw, which we did see in Day of the Devs and we see later in the Tribeca game Spotlight, I believe. It's this whole stop motion art style that they've started up with. I think it's super interesting incorporating that into games.
It's crazy how they do it too. Like it seems like the tenacity involved to do that, because a lot, I didn't get to see all of Day of the Devs, but the one that stood out to me the most was from the Tribeca games, and it was at Harold Halibut, and they actually talked to the developers who were stop motion like filmmakers, and then they kind of moved into gaming. But yeah, like they built all the, like basically the whole game is like handcrafted, like they were making a film. And then they like take photos of all the assets and the characters and everything, and like 3D cameras photograph everything, and then animate that on top of it with like motion capture. That's fucking crazy. That seems like so much work.
And they still basically make a mini movie too, because for all the cutscenes and everything.
Yeah. Oh my god, I saw that, and I've never seen anything like that. Like I've seen games that kind of look kind of claymation-esque, like even like Psychonauts kind of has like that sort of clay aesthetic to it, but it's not actual stop motion, like this game is legitimately a stop motion. It's like a Wallace and Gromit film that you can play, basically.
Yeah,
like that is amazing.
Yeah, watching the trailer, it just brought me back to the days where you we had all those movies all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm so interested in playing this game, not just because of the style, but like the story too. They talk about the story in the trailer, but they don't give you a lot. They give you just enough, I think, to really get your attention on it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a weird, like it's sci-fi, but like the devs were talking in kind of like the little breakdown of it. It's like, yeah, it takes place during the Cold War, but then it's like 100 years into the future where like they left Earth onto like on like this arc to try and find like a new world, and then they realized they got there and it's shit, so they just left or whatever, something like that. So they're just basically like on this spaceship flying through space trying to figure out where to go, kind of thing. Like, because it still has like that kind of 60s style, because they like left Earth like during the Cold War or whatever. So it's like a weird blend of like, like the 50s 60s vibe, but it's sci-fi. It's kind of got like that BioShock kind of feel to it.
For real, yeah.
But yeah, dude, the stop motion, oh my god, that just like blew me away. I was
I
like,
agree.
all right, I'm done. Stop. I'm just walking away from the show. Nothing is gonna top this. This is amazing.
No. Yeah. So the stop motion one that was at Day of the Devs was called Vocabulantis.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Is it a vocabulary game?
no, I was kind of I was kind of
I was
mixing up the
hoping
two
it was
games.
like
I
a
think this
typing
is-
game.
No, I think this is the one that's about like a brother and sister, if I remember, unless that's the other game. Because it was so funny that there was the two stop motion games, and I just couldn't quite remember the storyline behind it. But yeah,
Yep, that's gonna be
that one.
that's gonna be the new niche is stop motion. You're gonna see EA making stop motion games, and Ubisoft making a stop motion Assassin's Creed, and that's gonna be the new. It's gonna be the new thing.
I just think of Little Big Planet too. I feel like it gives off that vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not quite as cool.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely not. I don't like little. I never.
Well,
liked
as
Little
like
Big
the as being like completely stop motion. Not
No,
saying that
you can
game's
say it's
not
not
cute
cool.
and fun.
That game's not cool. Okay,
It's okay-ish. I played a little bit of it.
that's what everyone. I've played a little bit of it. You know why? Because it sucks. It's boring. Everyone plays a little bit of it, and then they go play something better.
Yeah.
That's what bad games are. Like, yeah, I played a little bit of it. That's why they
Sack-
don't make them
Sackboy
anymore.
deserves better than that.
I think his
So-
new game
oh.
actually looks more interesting than Little Big Planet, like Sackboy's Big Sack Adventure or whatever it is, like the PS5 game.
I haven't seen that. Oh.
Like that looks more interesting than Little Big Planet ever did. So not to go vastly off topic.
But anyway, one other thing I wanted to say about Day of the Devs was that it was okay. One thing really disappointed me about the show, and I don't know, it's probably just me, but I think it's really cool that it's a whole show dedicated to indie games and everything. But when you have it follow up to Summer Game Fest, and then you just it was a little disappointing because there were also like technical glitches on their end, and on top of that, like, give the developers like a nicer camera to shoot on, give them some lighting, like make them look good, because
Yeah.
these are cool games, and I just think it's a little disrespectful, to be like, oh, we'll just give them whatever and show
It's
whatever
like they
quality
emailed
they
them
have.
like an hour beforehand. It's like, hey, whatever you got, you gotta film yourself. And people are like using like their
Yeah.
fucking phones and whatever they got. Yeah, because
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
Day of the Devs was always a in-person event in San Francisco. Like this is like the first time it's ever been a stream. As far as I know, like it was
Okay.
always just like a thing that happened in San Francisco where like anyone could come up and talk to these developers and just kind of like hang out, and it's just like one of those cultural touchstones for that area. So like this being the first time that they did a stream for it, with COVID and all that shit, like it's cool that it even happened, and I hope that they keep fleshing that out along with Summer Game Fest. It seems like they got the two shows that were like brand new and kind of figuring themselves out back to back. I guess it makes sense, but it's also, as a viewer, you're just like, man, what is fucking happening here? Like,
Yeah.
what am I watching?
Mm-hmm.
I actually
yeah.
thought the Tribeca Game Spotlight, I thought that was like on point. Like
I 100% agree.
that whole showcase was amazing. It was short. They had good transitions. All the games looked fucking cool.
Yes.
Not all of them are something I want to play, but they all look so cool.
Well,
And they
Ethan,
all had vastly different like art styles.
speaking of, what's
Yes.
another game that you want to play from Tribeca?
Where do we start?
Right?
Oh, yes.
Well, let's start with
Let's start
Kenna.
from the top.
How about that?
Yeah.
Start from the top. I think the coolest game that was shown at Tribeca is one that has already been shown before, but it's that Canna Bridge of Spirits.
Yes.
I think that game looks incredible. Like, that game literally looks like I'm playing an animated film. Like, I know everybody's, high on Ratchet and Clank, and rightfully so, because that game looks impressive. Like, very impressive.
But
But
this
it's also fucking Insomniac. That's a huge studio. They got that huge budget, and they have talent that goes back decades. So I kind of expect Ratchet and Clank to look fucking good on new hardware. Canna Bridge of Spirits is a first-time studio from filmmakers. These guys are, like, they existed in the film world making animated films. And to come out with their first showing like this, like, God, it looks so good. I don't even care if the gameplay is fucking tedious. Like, I would just sit there and just look at the game.
I agree. It's beautiful looking. It looks fun. The little bit of gameplay we saw. I don't know. I thought
It
was
does
good.
look fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like a cartoon version of, like, it has like that little bit of, the God of War style, and then what are those the little the rot or whatever.
Pikmin.
Like, that's very Pikmin. That's very Pikmin-esque. They're definitely taking influences, but they're first-time game developers. I would expect them to draw influences from a lot of different things and into this big melting pot of development stew. I don't have anything against that.
It looks so good, and we only have to wait till like August, I think.
I'm gonna have to wait for
nice.
fucking probably 4 Augusts from now because it's PS5. So
That's PS on the PS4 too.
yeah, but
I'll play it on the PS4.
not to go off on a whole nother tangent here. But any game that is cross-gen is not actually cross-gen. Like, it's meant to be played on new-gen hardware, and it's just like, yeah, it's also on this game, or this, piece of shit old hardware, and we stripped back a lot of stuff. Like, I'm not going to play anything that's cross-gen on old hardware. You get that cyberpunk shit, It's like, oh, cyberpunk's cross-gen, but guess what? It doesn't work on PS4.
That's true.
Well, not all games are like that, so I think some of them will work.
That's a drastic comparison, But like Horizon Forbidden West, that game looks absolutely stunning. Do I want to play it on my base PS4 that can't even load up fucking anything right now? I feel like my PS4 is going to explode. I don't want to put Forbidden West on there and just watch it literally melt. So yeah, anything that's cross-gen, I'm just gonna play it on the the new gen, and if it's PS5, then I'll just have to fucking wait. I'm not playing any of this stuff that's cross-gen on the old hardware. Just not happening.
I'll come visit. You can play it on mine.
Yeah, there you go. Bring me your PS5. We'll just do a marathon run of it. Can't be that long, right?
Deal.
Honestly, just someone can just release all the.
Let's
cutscenes.
stream it. I want to see it.
I'll just watch this. Give me the fucking movie. I don't even need to play the game. Just make the movie. Like honestly, like, this just looks
Heck
like an
yes.
awesome movie. It looks like a Pixar film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am totally in love with the way that game looks. So yeah, that was like my big standout of games that I would actually like want to play. Like, Harold Halibut looks amazing just from like a technique standpoint, but from just like gameplay standpoint, like, it's very much just, it's probably going to be one of those a minimalist kind of like point and click style adventure games, which is fine. I like those too, but God, give me Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Just shoot that shit into my veins right now. God, that game looks amazing. Like, that's like my most anticipated game that's not, that I won't be able to play for a while.
Someday.
Exactly. Yeah. By the time I'm playing it, the sequel will be out. So yeah.
So
I don't know,
what about
you?
12 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
12 minutes, yeah. I think that looks pretty
cool.
good.
That looks really cool. It's actually got like a good cast. James McAvoy, Willem Dafoe. I don't really know if Daisy Ridley's a good actress because she's only been in Star Wars, and that's not necessarily a good measuring stick for acting.
She was in Murder in the Orient Express.
Yeah, so she's only been in Star Wars.
Gosh.
Are you ignoring that movie?
I haven't seen it either yet.
Hey, it's okay. It's fun.
I hear it's good.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, they're getting a sequel, so that's something, right?
Yeah, I mean, continuing with the Agatha Christie novels, might as well.
She was also in that movie with Tom Holland that kind of came and went because it was like what the Chaos Emeralds, the Sonic spinoff.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about that.
Yeah, that seems right.
I can't remember anything about. I just know that movie came out and they're like, yeah, this is shit. Don't watch it. I can't.
Girls can be mind readers to the guys or whatever. It's weird.
Yeah, like guys' thoughts are like projected or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, I don't know any. I can't judge Daisy Ridley right now, but James McAvoy and Willem Dafoe are incredible. Like put Willem Dafoe in everything.
Absolutely.
Put him in everything. Put him in literally everything. That man is amazing.
Put him in literally every Spider-Man movie ever.
Yes. Put him in. I just want to.
Yes. Put him in the new one.
I want Willem Dafoe to narrate my day. So.
Oh my god. I'd never sleep again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And just from like gameplay style, like it just seems super cool. Like the whole time loop mechanic, and the idea that you're trying to basically solve a mystery, and you have it's the same 12 minutes, but you can change it. It kind of reminds me of like Source Code a little bit. That movie that came out. That dude's day like always resets, but he can keep making different decisions. Like that's pretty cool. It's super simple, and it just if they handle it right, it could be pretty impressive. So,
I agree.
The other one that stood out to me was Lost in Random. Did you guys see that one?
I love the Tim Burton-esque feel to it.
Yes, dude. It literally looks like Frankenweenie or like Coraline, like that kind of like that style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
creepy.
like straight up just like a 3D action platformer kind of game, which usually aren't my vibe, but just the art style really like looked cool. So it would definitely be something that I would at least want to look into if it's, if it comes to something that I can play it on. So.
That's fair. Well, with any luck, it'll be on Game Pass or something.
Oh yeah, put all this stuff on Game Pass. Hey, guess what? Put Kenna Bridge of Spirits on Game Pass.
Okay.
Well, I think a lot of stuff is coming to the Game Pass, so you'll be set for life.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. That was all the stuff that from Tribeca that I would actually like, that I would want to play. Like the other ones, they all had like cool styles. Like Sable, I'm kind of like on the fence on. Like on one hand, I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is kind of like a really cool art style. Kind of reminds me of kind of like Dr. Seuss a little bit. oddly enough. But it also seems like one of those games where the lure of just the style kind of loses you, and then you're stuck with the gameplay, and it's just like super empty. It seems like one of those games where like the art style no longer impresses you because you've seen it enough, and then you're just kind of like playing the game. The game just doesn't look interesting to me. Maybe it's just because it's like the demos haven't really like shown you what you're actually doing, or it seems a little too vague and too like opaque of a game for me. So to be that empty and desolate and whatnot, it'd be a game that I would just like want to watch someone else play maybe in the background while I'm playing Canada Bridge of Spirits.
That's right.
One of the other games that stood out to me, but I don't really want to play, was Norco. It was gothic, about Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like,
it definitely reminded me of like old school point and click like PC games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that
It just seemed, yeah.
like that
really
took place in like
interesting.
a real location too, and like had like I don't know. I didn't like wasn't that the one that was introduced by Norman Reedus? Who
Yeah, I think
didn't
so.
seem like he knew that he was supposed to be doing that.
That was weird.
Like the camera angle was like a whole wall, and then in the bottom corner you saw his face, and he was like reading a script.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just
Definitely
like,
reading a
Norman,
script.
did you just now check your phone and realize that you were supposed to be doing this? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the only negative that whole showcase. Was Norman Reedus. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, man.
Wade, did you watch the Tribeca? Was there anything that stood out to you?
I did not watch Tribeca. I did go back and watch a couple of the trailers afterwards, but we covered all of those games. So out of all of it, I just give McKenna. I just want Kenna.
Yeah.
I need it now.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I could spend a whole day talking about how that game looks amazing.
Well, I'll spend a whole day telling you how amazing it is once it comes out and I'll play it.
Yeah, I'll just turn my phone off.
No, I'm going to come over and hang out with Atlas and talk about it. And you can listen if you want to.
Oh, man. So, what's the next game show we have up?
Ubisoft.
Okay.
Ubisoft.
Let's talk about them Rabbids.
I actually didn't get to watch the Ubisoft Forward, but I saw some of the announcements.
I didn't either. So, Wade?
Yes.
Yep, Wade, it's all you, buddy.
Yep.
For Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Which
there
is like
wasn't
it's like the least Wade studio ever.
I know, and I guess I'm the only one who watched it. There wasn't a whole
Yeah,
lot
sorry.
that particularly stuck out to me. Like you have your Mario and Rabbids. I really enjoyed the first game. We'll see if I play the second game or not. Just kind of depends. I love the new characters. Like the trailer was fantastic. I had a good job watching that. And then they had a lot of stuff there about the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now,
Right.
I'm not somebody who's played any modern Assassin's Creed games. I played like a couple hours of 1 and 2, like back when they first came out. But watching them talk about Valhalla and go through some of the stuff that's coming to it, it does kind of make me want to try it out at some point. We'll see. I don't know. It looks like a really big game, and I have I live off of those anyway, so my backlog can't get much bigger, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where the idea of another hour or 100-hour long game just gives me anxiety at this point. So, and I've pretty much played all the Assassin's Creeds. It's a franchise I've pretty much stuck with this whole time. Like I put like 200 hours into Odyssey, and I loved it. And I kind of like that Assassin's Creed kind of left. Like they're still doing like historical time periods, but they left the historical accuracies behind. Because like, you know, Assassin's Creed Origins, they had like a whole DLC where you're fighting like Egyptian gods and the undead and all this other shit. And then Odyssey is all Greek mythology. You're like fighting like Medusa and the Minotaur, and you know, so they brought in the fantasy elements, and it just makes the games more enjoyable, in my opinion. So like, I know they're doing the same with Valhalla. I haven't played it, so I don't know to what degree, but I know the fan base is kind of split. Like some people are like, I want my old Assassin's Creed back. And then like there's like this whole like new contingent of Assassin's Creed fans. They're like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. This is great. So
Well, like what they talked about there in the show was that they've built in like a big historical kind of tour thing throughout the game that you can go and walk through, and listen to like the actual historical Viking events and stuff like that, like the raiding and stuff like that. And that's really cool. That's something that appeals a bit to me.
They did that with Odyssey as well, where you can go through like all of like ancient Greece in a historical context way, like an educational way, and it's just like, oh, this is the
That's cool.
the Parthenon and all this other shit, and like why it was important. And, like there's actually like stories of like professors like using it in their classrooms. Like
that is pretty
it's
interesting.
it's like a whole separate section of the game. Like you go into the menu and you just go to like museum mode or whatever it's called. I don't know if that's. So it's not like it's not like you're on the tour and then all of a sudden like a mercenary tries to kill you and you have to, you have to start fighting this guy or whatever.
Press pause is on that audio.
Yeah,
guide
exactly.
there.
Like, oh, sorry, class, I'm gonna kill this guy real quick. I had a contract on him, so that's fine.
That's awesome.
Like it's a whole like separate like educational mode. So I guess they're sticking with that, which is cool.
Like something else that they talked about was that they announced that they'd be going into a full second year of content for Valhalla 2. And people are excited about that, and that's great. But I feel like that should be more the normal. Like that should be a normal thing. Like to release a game. Here's a smidge of DLC. Now we're leaving it in the past. Yeah. I like to see that support after that, especially if it's a game that deserves continuing. If you want people to still play the game, we'll support it.
I think Ubisoft, above really a lot of other major publishers out there, are really setting like a gold standard for how to support a game. Like they're still releasing stuff for like For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege, and those games are multiple years old.
Right.
And at some point, like Siege, for example, that game launched to like really lukewarm response, and literally any other publisher would have been like, all right, well, cut our losses and start on something else. And like Ubisoft's like basically transformed that game to what it was at launch to now it's like it's basically like it's like a G.I. Joe simulator, like it's like a whole, like they basically like they transform their games years after they've launched. Like they did it with Ghost Recon as well. Ghost Recon, like Breakpoint launched. Really everyone hated it. And they literally went in there and basically like created a brand, like a whole different way to play the game and launched it again. And everyone's like, oh yeah, cool, this is exactly what we wanted. It's just like no other publisher does that stuff.
Like you create a game and you don't get the reaction that you want out of it. You have a decision, I suppose. You can abandon it and waste all the money and time, or you can try to make something out of it. And it's always nice to see publishers go back and do that.
Oh yeah, like almost all of their IPs now to some degree they've kind of. This is probably, in my opinion, why they haven't made a Splinter Cell game, because Ubisoft hasn't figured out a way to completely monetize Splinter Cell and make it some big open world hubbubaloo nonsense like every other game they have. Because they're not really in the market to make like your 10-15 hour experience anymore. They're trying to create these like services. They want you to be like, hey, you play this game and you're going to play it for 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So no one's playing Splinter Cell. Like that's why, in my personal opinion, we're never going to get another one. They might as well sell that fucking IP. They're never going to develop it. They put that character in all these other games, but they're not going to make him his own. It's just not their business model anymore.
Cough, cough, Banjo-Kazooie, cough, cough. Oh, sorry.
Exactly, yeah.
My bad.
Exactly. But yeah, I definitely want to get into Valhalla, but, I mean, it's not going to be anytime soon.
Right.
So way back to you again. Was there anything else that stood out to you at that showcase? Or
the one thing that I actually keep forgetting happened during it is probably Ethan's most favoritist thing in the whole world. Ethan, what's that thing?
Tell us.
Okay, I don't know if it's my most favoriteest thing, but I definitely feel defensive about this more so than most people.
Ethan getting defensive. What?
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's my vanity project. That's another podcast.
Okay, so tell us.
It's the final. They've been. This has been rumored for years. And it's almost. I think it's been confirmed like a year ago that they were making it. But the Avatar game, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, was finally like properly announced, and we got a little CG trailer and a 2022 release date. So, and I think they finally came out and said that it's a first-person open world game, not third person like I was expecting. It's first person, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm a huge Avatar fanboy. So yeah, another, internet, come at me. I love Zack Snyder and fucking
man.
Avatar. So what's up? I'm that guy. So I'm
See,
really excited.
I
for
was
that.
really enjoying the trailer. I was like, oh, this looks so nice, and I love to explore like Pandora more. Like, it's been so long since we've gotten to look at it like this. Oh, and there's the humans. Now they show up and they're wrecking everything, which I get is the point.
Right.
But like watching the trailer, like my interest dropped like 75% once I saw there was like Earthlings in it.
Humans.
I was like,
I mean, that is Avatar.
I know. My presumption was that like we get to explore the world, without having to worry about like movie story.
Right.
I guess.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of conflict in the game. Otherwise, it's just, you're playing the witness at that point.
I guess. I mean, but like, couldn't the story come from like internally, like come from Pandora itself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like warring tribes or something.
Something like that,
like a prequel or
Yeah.
something.
I just like you see this beautiful world and these creatures, and of course the people themselves, and then like, oh well, here's an attack helicopter, and I was like,
I mean, but the
You've
good
lost
thing
me.
is it seemingly looks like that you're gonna play as the Na'vi, or at the very least an avatar of one of them. So you get to kill all those humans. So
I guess.
so
If you want to. If you want to play that.
Can't I just have like Stardew Valley on Pandora?
I mean,
I just wanna
talk
do
to the
that.
guy who makes Stardew Valley. Maybe he'll make an update where you can have a farm on Pandora.
I need a mod. Somebody mod it for me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm personally excited for it. I think it'd be really cool, especially first person. Flying around on those fucking dragons in first person and Pandora, like that would be awesome. Like,
Oh yeah, I'll keep my eye out on it for sure.
yeah. I'm really excited for it. It makes sense that it's a 2022 release because I'm pretty sure that's when the sequel comes out as well. I think it's 2022 or maybe it's 2020. It's been delayed so many damn times.
Oh,
I
the
don't even
movie?
know.
I think it's next.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's next year.
I think it's 2020.
I think it's next
Yeah.
December, and then it's basically like every December
Oh,
for the
it's
next
like- it's
16 years.
2, 4, 6, and 8. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. That'd be really cool. Get a game and the movie around the same time. That'd be. This guy would like that. Old Ethan would like that. So. But yeah, and back to Mario and Rabbids. I really liked Mario and Rabbids, the first one. I like those kind of like XCOM tactics games. And it was, seeing Mario carrying around a gun and just killing rabbits, like, fuck yeah, man, I'm all about that. Put Mario in more games besides just Nintendo properties,
If that's it for that, do you guys want to move on to the Xbox showcase?
Sure,
Oh boy.
we could do that.
Xbox fanboys.
The Xbox.
Ooh, I wouldn't go that far.
I would definitely go that
Yes.
far. I
Ethan-
am the
Ethan is
resident Xbox boy.
I'm not hating, I'm just saying that's what you are.
I feel like like on this show, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm the Xbox guy. Wade, you're Nintendo, and Chelsea, you're PlayStation.
Yep.
That's pretty much how it plays out. There's some cross pollination in there, but I've pretty much I've owned every Xbox. I love their IPs. I love their games. I love their like their programs and just how they like interact with the gaming community, and Granted, a lot of that has come from necessity because they've usually are always the underdog. So when you're punching up, you always kind of take big risks. But man, they're doing some cool shit.
Yeah, this was a good showcase for them today.
That
Yes.
showcase was, like, honestly, there may have only been like one or two things where I was just like, yeah, it's not for me. But literally everything else on that showcase, I was like, I want to play this shit day one. Like, this looks awesome.
Well,
Like,
do we just want to start strong then?
Yeah, so what was your favorite?
My favorite.
Or what was the...
I think least favorite would be easier.
Well,
Okay.
okay, go for it. What's your
Okay.
least
What was
favorite?
that? I can't even remember the title. That's how bad it was. It's kind of like a Fall Guys, Fall Guys.
The
Oh,
Party
Party
Animals
Animals.
one?
Party Animals, yeah.
Yes,
I don't know
that
what-
one was...
I don't know what that
oh.
was. I feel like that got put in there by mistake. I feel like that was like some joke by like a employee that was quitting or something. Put that shit in there because that just looks awful. It's,
Yeah.
like, it's cute
I'll
and
agree with
charming
that.
and whatever, and I'm sure it'll be fun and whimsical and like a little party game. But man, I don't care about that stuff. Those aren't for me. Those aren't my games.
Oh.
And
I don't think it even looked cute.
Yeah.
It looked stupid. I'll just call it what it is.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's Fall Guys. It's it is what it is.
It's basically, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's Microsoft's Fall Guys basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've never played Slime Rancher because I just looking at it, I didn't really know what it was. It just kind of looked like you're just capturing balls of goo and then putting them in cages to make more balls of goo. So it just
Yeah, that's about it.
yeah, that
about
that
it.
gameplay loop doesn't sound fun to me. So
Like I'm sure there's a story in there. I played the first one for about 5 or 6 hours or so.
Yeah.
So I didn't finish the game. But I also didn't know. I guess that did they get bought by Microsoft?
I don't even
Are they
know.
one of
I don't
those
even-
studios? I don't really know, but there's definitely some upgrading that's happened since the first one was created. And like it looks amazing, like just like art style, the graphical stuff.
Oh yeah.
It
yeah.
looks great.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's cheap. If it's one of those cheap games. Oh wait, it's gonna be a Game Pass game.
It's Game Pass, man.
Oh,
so
then
it
I'm
is cheap.
sure I'll try it. I'm sure I'll try it.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure everything they showed on this showcase, besides, like, Battlefield and a couple other things, were, like, day one Game Pass.
Almost everything was, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think Battlefield and maybe it was just Battlefield, because, that's obviously, DICE, and that's third party, that's coming to everybody, so that's not going to be, that won't be Game Pass, but, yeah, I mean, everything in this show just blew me away, and just the editing of the show, the music selection for the trailers, like, literally, this showcase was badass. Like, I was super into it. Like, there was and I love how there was a diversity of, like, types of games and types of styles. Usually Xbox has always just kind of been, like, a very, it's just like, oh, these are shooters. Here's your
Very
shooters.
very mainstream style. Like here's your sports,
Yeah.
here's your shooters,
Yeah,
here's your
exactly.
horror. Here you go, have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, but I love that they're branching out, and there was a lot of really cool stuff to showcase that. Somerville,
I
which is from Jump Ship Studio, which I want to say isn't Jump Ship Studio. Isn't that some of the guys that left Play Dead? Isn't that their studio? Or I want to say Jump Ship Studio is like some of the like OG guys from Play Dead, which did Inside and Limbo. Because Somerville looks like Inside and Limbo.
I
guess
don't know.
It looks
I don't know
exactly
either.
like that kind of style. That kind of like 2.5D side-scrolling adventure kind of game. It looks really cool. I dig the style of it. Replaced was like another like 2D action game. Kind of had like a cyberpunk feel to it. That looked really cool. The Ascent which is a twin stick shooter, which I usually don't get down on twin stick shooters, but the more I see from the Ascent, the more I'm just like, please give me the Ascent. Like, I want to play this game. This looks so cool. There wasn't really a lot of stuff that was like, if I had any negative, there wasn't really like that big moment of like surprise, I think. Most of the stuff that was was shown and kind of happened was like really cool, but it wasn't just like a like showstopper, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my predictions was that Starfield was going to be Xbox exclusive. I expected that, and that was kind of like, hey, Starfield's Xbox exclusive. We don't have anything to show besides this little trailer.
Yeah, that made me
so
sad.
I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, I called it. I kind of figured that would happen. Like, I wanted to see some gameplay, but I didn't expect gameplay. You know, Stalker 2, like, I'm glad we finally got to see some actual like gameplay of that. That game looks amazing. That's totally up my alley. Back for Blood literally just looks like Left 4 Dead, but they just can't call it Left 4 Dead. So, like, it's literally that fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, those are really fun and really good games. I guess, honestly, the biggest surprise that I saw was the Sea of Thieves Pirates of the Caribbean update. Like, literally, I was, like, blown away by that. I saw that, and I was like, holy shit.
See, I saw
awesome.
that. I saw that, and like you hear like Tia Dalma talk at first, but you don't know it's Tia Dalma yet. And I'm just like, that sounds like Tia Dalma. Are they just being really obvious about? Oh nope, there's Jack Sparrow. See, to me at first I was like, that seems like almost too like low hanging fruit.
Right.
But then I kept watching, and I was like, well, that looks. I mean, like for people who like the game, I'm sure that's super duper exciting. So you all might have to drag me into it or something.
Yeah, and it said that it's like an epic original story, so I'm curious if it's like, is this like a single play? Because that game doesn't really have a story mode. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very much just like, be a pirate, go do whatever you want to do. So the fact that this is like, seems like an actual campaign, like, that seems very interesting to me.
Well, it's probably good though, because it being an MMO of sorts, and an MMO without a story is, that's something.
Yeah. Like, they have like, they have like seasons and like objectives, but there's never really been like a campaign mode, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, the idea that this is like a Pirates of the Caribbean story with a lot of your favorite pirates, like, that sounds fucking cool. Like, fighting Davy Jones and hanging out with Jack Sparrow and getting into shenanigans, like, I'm all about that. Give me a Pirates of the Caribbean game. Just rename Sea of Thieves and make it Pirates of the Caribbean.
For real, I'd do that. I'd play that.
Yeah, like, I've always wanted like a really cool pirate game, and putting Pirates of the Caribbean and Sea of Thieves together, like, it seems like low hanging fruit, and it's kind of just like seems like an obvious thing, but whatever, man, it looks fucking cool. I'm all about it.
Well, Ethan, I know that you're really excited about Psychonauts 2 also, right?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that prediction didn't pan out. I was really
coming out
waiting
today.
For them. Yeah, I was really waiting for like at the end of that trailer to be
I was hoping
it's on
for
Game
you.
Pass now, but they were like August 22nd. And I was like, well, that's close.
Oh, that sounds about like when Kenna comes out.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about Psychonauts 2. That seems really cool. I like Tim Schafer. I like his style of humor. I guess one of the surprises was a Plague Tale Requiem. I was not expecting that game to get a sequel, but that game looks gorgeous.
I couldn't watch a lot of that trailer because like my stream was doing terrible things during that, so I didn't really get to watch any of that one.
Oh my god, go watch it. Like, and the original Plague Tale, A Plague Tale Innocence, is on Game Pass right now, so you can play it. But man, A Plague Tale Requiem, that just looks really, really nice. Like, it just kind of ends on like this wide shot vista that almost kind of looks like Greece, kind of has like that kind of vibe. But man, that looks impressive. I was not expecting Atomic Heart to be Game Pass, like day one Game Pass, because I don't think that's an exclusive. But it's on Game Pass day one, so that's interesting to me. That's basically just like a new BioShock, just not BioShock. They just kind of announced the Contraband game as a new IP, but they didn't really show anything that it was. It's just like, here's a new IP that we have. And that's kind of what I expected from this showcase for Xbox, is a lot, since they've bought so many studios. I was not expecting a whole lot of stuff for like 2021 release. And a lot of these games were like, hey, this is 2022, or this is further out than that. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting going into it. And that's pretty much how it played out. Like, they ended with the new IP from Arcane, which is Redfall.
Oh my gosh, Redfall. So first off, before we talk about Redfall, I want to apologize to the Elder Scrolls fan base. I know that they have been thinking for forever that Redfall was going to be the name of ES6 because, they saw that Bethesda had copyrighted the title, and, that title makes plenty of sense for an Elder Scroll game.
Right.
So I hope if you all are out there, I hope you all are doing okay today. You had your one little bit of information taken away from you, but this game looks amazing, and I'm still excited for that. So there's that.
They should have trolled them even harder and just been like, from Bethesda, and just put the title up that just said Redfall.
Oh gosh.
Well, I've already seen that people are like going through the Starfield trailer, trying to find the slightest little tease about Elder Scrolls in the Starfield teaser.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, you
give it
people,
a
mess.
They need some water. They just need some water.
Yeah, let me get on Ethan's soapbox. Let me pull it out. It's in the drawer right here. Let me set this up. Dear Internet, dear Elder Scrolls 6 fans, give it a fucking rest. All right, your game is like 5 years away. Please calm down with your theories and your nonsense and your hype. That game is not coming anytime soon. All right, I'm gonna put this soapbox away. It wasn't even dusty. That's how often I get it out.
I don't think your soapbox has ever been dusty, my friend.
But yeah, I'm so tired of hearing from that contingent of the internet. Fucking Elder Scrolls 6 fans. Jesus Christ. It was a huge mistake for them to even show that little drone footage with the title art of Elder Scrolls 6. Like, that was a mistake.
Because you know how Bethesda does things. They'll show everything about the game at the E3 before it comes out in that fall, and that's all you get. So the fact that people are going to be begging and crying for the next few years
is tedious to me. I mean, think about it. They've been working on Starfield. They've been working on Starfield since Fallout 4. You know how long Fallout 4 came out? Fuck. So they're not even working on Elder Scrolls 6 right now because they have all hands on deck working on Starfield. Like, literally all the other side studios are pulling in talent just to get Starfield out the door. No one's fucking doing anything with Elder Scrolls right now. There may be like one guy and he's just like writing the little lore books. You know? You know? But that game is so... That may be a next-gen title. Like, the next gen.
Oh, don't say that.
So...
Oh, no.
Or that's going to be like like a Last of Us Part 2, where it's just like, it comes out right at the end of the generation. Like,
well...
It's going to be one of those things.
I mean, whenever it comes out, it's going to have to last them a long, long time. So, as long as they get it done, and it's playable, and it comes out, and it has the lifespan equivalent to Skyrim, I think it'll be fine.
Honestly, the cynic in me, I can see that literally coming out towards the end of this generation and it being a cross-gen for the next Xbox.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a huge install base, and then it's a good launch title for a new system. Like, I can see Elder Scrolls 6 doing that. That's very cynical because you're talking 8 years from now, minimum. But still.
But it's Todd Howard, so who knows?
But it's Todd Howard, so it's 100% possible.
But anyway, back to Redfall. Let's talk about Redfall.
I don't really... I'm already... Okay, let me start over. There's so many things. I like vampires. So right there, that's a win. I don't like the art style.
Oh, you don't?
I don't, because it reminds me of too much of every other of this kind of game. Like, it literally looks like Back 4 Blood, but instead of zombies, it's vampires. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was seeing the same trailer again, and it just had different monsters.
I feel like this one is more like a story-driven thing.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
like, if you start parsing it out game for game, like, they're definitely going to be different, but it just, like, looking at them, like, if I just take screenshots and put them side by side, it's like the same fucking game. You know, and I just don't necessarily like, I don't know if it should have gone more of the realistic look, if it should have leaned more into cartoony, I don't know, but I don't know. I didn't really like how the vampires looked either. They kind of looked a little too like Saturday morning cartoon vampires.
See, I thought that gave everything a little more personality, though.
Yeah, and you may be right. I mean, I definitely don't want, you know, I'm not advocating for like fucking Twilight vampires or some shit, but you know, I don't need a bunch of fucking diamond blondes out there running around. So, but I don't know. It looks... I like Arcane games. Like, they did Dishonored and they did Prey, and those games are really, really, really good. So I'll definitely play it. I just am not totally in love with the way it looks yet. Like, it kind of looks like Deathloop 2, which is also Arcane. And I don't really like how that looks either. So... But it's PS5, so fuck it. I won't be playing it anyways. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Like, this is not the kind of game that I'd usually get into, because, you know, like, the whole, like, high-active shooter stuff, it's usually too much for me.
Right.
But just watching the trailer for that today, I was like, I mean, especially, I have Game Pass, it'll be free for me. So,
oh, yeah.
I'll probably give it a shot, just because it looks like, I like how the characters look and how they're interacting, the personality that everything gives off. I'm really enjoying that so far. So, I'll probably at least give it a try.
Yeah, I gotta say, I did like the chemistry between, like, the characters and, like, their little interactions. Like, I was digging all of that. But, I don't know. It's not like I hate the way it looks. It's just not something I was, like, super into, you know?
Didn't grasp your attention.
Like, if it wasn't day one Game Pass, I would not... I would be like a wait for a sale kind of thing, you know? But the fact that it is, you know, Xbox exclusive, so it's day one Game Pass, like, hell yeah, I'll fire it up, and it's probably super fun, you know? But Chelsea, what about you? I know you don't have an Xbox, and you're like,
Yeah.
you hate Microsoft, and you hate Xbox. And
Hey, no.
You think
no.
Xbox fans are...
everything black
No,
and white.
you can't just make up stuff. No. Just because I don't have an Xbox doesn't mean I hate them.
I mean, that's exactly what it means.
No, it doesn't. Hey, now.
I know.
Yeah. I thought it was a good showcase. I thought it was nice, and I can appreciate all the games they had to offer. I like the variety. I thought a lot of them looked fun, and I was kind of like, oh, darn, you know, I don't have Game Pass, but that doesn't mean I'm suddenly going to have Game Pass now.
I was going to say, $1 million question. Did this showcase sell you an Xbox?
A little bit more.
Okay. You hear that, Microsoft? You're getting there. You're getting there. Those deep-rooted Sony fanboys, you know, you're slowly uprooting them. You're slowly digging them out. We'll get there.
Here's Ethan flaming the console wars.
Yep.
We're all just trying to live our lives here.
All right, yeah. You're right.
And judging us.
Don't
Rude.
fucking paint me into that. God, I don't.
Hey, you're painting me into a corner.
Yeah. You did it to yourself.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Console Wars. Fucking
No.
dumb.
Anyway, do you guys have any other final words about the Xbox showcase?
Good job to them. Good job to them.
Okay, I have a couple. I have a disappointment.
Okay.
I was disappointed that Halo Infinite didn't show any gameplay for campaign.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, they kind of they gave a little bit of, like, a little tiny snippet tease of maybe something about the story. Or, like, you know, oh, Cortana, yeah, she was deleted. She went fucking crazy, so she's gone. I'm your new AI. So that may be, like, a little bit of an interesting snippet for us Halo fans. Like, that's pretty cool, but I don't know if they didn't want to show campaign gameplay just because the last time they did it, you know, it delayed the game a year. So I don't know if they still are, you know, are a little trigger shy with showing the campaign. They showed a bunch of multiplayer, which, you know, whatever. It's huge. I don't play Halo for the multiplayer. It's whatever. I know a lot of people love that stuff, but I'm in it for the story. But I was just kind of surprised that that game comes out in the fall and we still haven't really seen a whole lot of the campaign. And it's a drastically different campaign because it's an open world Halo, which it's never happened. So you would think that they would be putting that on a pedestal. So I don't know if it's making me nervous that we haven't seen it or if I don't know. I could see that game getting delayed again. So, like, honestly, I can see the multiplayer coming out in the fall and the campaign getting delayed to, like, the spring or something.
Well, they got to have something to sell for Christmas, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, you're right, but I don't know, here it is the summer and we still really haven't seen anything of this game, and this is like the fucking game. This is the Xbox kind of system seller. Mm-hmm. And this is their perfect opportunity to, like, showcase Halo Infinite, and it was just kind of, like, smashed in the middle of their showcase, and it was just like, here's a couple minutes of multiplayer and moving on. Like, I thought that was kind of weird. Like, I honestly thought they should have ended on Halo Infinite and just had a huge, like, gameplay demo with, like, a big, like, epic moment of, like, Chief doing something badass, and then just, like, boom, that closes the showcase. And the fact that they just kind of smashed it in between a couple indie titles was just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, no, you have a point.
Like, I thought just, like, in terms of just, like, show layout, that didn't really make sense to me. So, because in E3 past, anytime there was a Halo game, that was, you either led with it or you ended with it. Like, that's how it's always been. So, I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to not give Halo the big spotlight anymore because they have so many more studios, or because since it was an Xbox Bethesda showcase, they didn't want it to, like, outshine anything. It just seemed weird. You know, just seemed weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing of note is, you know, Outer Worlds 2 got announced, which that's awesome. I actually really liked that trailer. It was funny. Basically making fun of every game trailer ever.
Oh, yes.
So,
there will
but that's
be
perfect
players.
Yeah, but that's Outer Worlds. Like, anyone who's played that game, like, that's its sense of humor, you know? And Forza Horizon 5, like, I'm not a big racing guy fan, but that game looks amazing. Like,
It looks nice.
God, that's such a gorgeous looking game. Like, you know, going out there, like, to these settings and doing their magic, taking all these photos, and, like, the way that they, like, film the sky or whatever and implemented that in the game to give you, like, actual, like, realistic lighting and real looking skies. Like, dude, that shit's crazy to me. That looks impressive. Mm-hmm. And the fact that that's the same studio that's making Fable, like,
ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Playground is, like, all Playground's ever been known for is the Horizon series. Like, Forza has two different studios. Turn 10 does the more simulation style Forza, and then Playground does the Horizon Forza, which is, like, the kind of fun, goofy racing. But Playground is also doing Fable. So I don't know if this is them, like, flexing.
Gearing up a little bit?
and gear it up a little bit for what they can do with Fable. Like Fable's obviously like more, it's a fantasy game, and I don't know what kind of like art style they're gonna go for. But if they try to implement any sort of these techniques into Fable, that game's gonna look fucking awesome. Like that's gonna be, it's gonna be good. So, like that's kind of one thing as like an Xbox fan is their games have always been more about like the playing of the game, the more like mechanics of it, and they've never really been lookers. And like that's where Sony always had the games that looked amazing. They always had the studios like Santa Monica and Naughty Dog. They always make these like incredibly looking games, and Microsoft games never really looked up to that level, but they were always like super tight to play. But I'm hoping that some of these new studios start trying to like flex their muscles a little bit and make some like truly impressive looking games. And like I know Forza Horizon's just a racing game, but damn, that looks good. It looks really sharp. So yeah, Chelsea, you need to get an Xbox.
Moral of the story.
Moral of the
Thanks
story.
for telling me that.
Moral of the story is you need to get an Xbox.
Okay. Wade, did you have any other final things you wanted to say about the Xbox showcase?
No, that's about it. Ethan hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, sorry, I took up a lot of time, but man, I'm such a like a giddy child over here for this.
You're the person for that showcase, so that's appropriate. It's all good.
So good.
Yeah.
I loved every minute of it. And they even had that little title card, and it's like, oh, we also have like these 20 other games that are coming to Game Pass this year that aren't even in this showcase. And like a little, they snuck in Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is the new Yakuza game that's on Game Pass now. So, and that's like the perfect game if you've never played Yakuza to get into the series, because it's a whole new character, a whole new city, a whole new storyline. So that's like the time to get in if you want to try out, which I've always wanted to try out the Yakuza series. So that may be an install tonight. So
funnily enough, I installed the first one earlier, so that's what I'll be doing after we finish recording this tonight.
Oh, like the actual, like the first, like
it's
Yakuza
the remake
Zero?
of the first one. Yeah, no, not
Yeah.
Zero, because that's a prequel. That's not. It doesn't actually come first. Like, it does come first, but it was not released.
It comes first. Yeah, I was gonna say it
Yeah.
comes first story wise, but not release order.
Nope, I'm gonna go in release order.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
If you include the remakes taking the place of the actual game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they have like that whole like remastered collection on Game Pass too.
Yeah, but
right?
that's it's just 4, 5, and 6 though.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Kiwamis and.
I think those must have came out after.
God, dude, that's such
I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me, because if I play Like a Dragon, which is a whole new. Like, and then you're playing it, we'll have to compare notes.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've known this; it's a fan favorite series. I have friends and other people who have loved it for years, and I have access to them all on Game Pass now. So I'll just give it a try.
I'm honestly surprised you've never played a Yakuza game. Like, I know they're sort of like, kind of like action brawlers, which isn't necessarily like a game style of yours, but it's also a very like prolific, like Japanese series. So I just kind of assumed.
Well, they're more of
it.
like cult favorite games. Like, they weren't on my radar, and you know, until the last handful of years.
I was gonna say, I feel like they've reached prominence since maybe like Yakuza like 4 or 5, like really kind of like brought that more into like the mainstream, because I never even heard of it until within like the past like 5-6 years. So.
I didn't know about it until the web personality Little Karibo. He would talk about it a lot, and this was a long time ago, but
Right.
you know, I've only really ever heard of it from him, but he talks really highly of it. So
yeah, I'm interested to try Like a Dragon, because it's also like turn based instead of the like action style, so that's kind of a different. So I don't know, I don't mind turn based. A lot of people hate turn based, but I don't mind it. But yeah, I don't know, that's pretty much it for the Xbox showcase. I don't really have anything. I'm still kind of taking a breath after watching that, you know.
Well,
Okay, Wade. How about Square Enix?
Yeah, I was about to say, go from like the top of the mountain here. Well, we can start a side conversation here of where we talk about you can have a showcase, but do you need to have a showcase? And you know, I hate saying that because you know how much I love Square. But it's because I love Square that I feel this way about this. Now, like, you know, first up was Guardians of the Galaxy. I super enjoyed the trailer. It looks great. You know, it's not like Insomniac's Spider-Man levels of detail and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be. It looks fun for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Now, I was gonna say, who's developing Guardians of the Galaxy?
It's Square Enix Montreal.
Okay, because I didn't see the Square Enix presentation. So when you guys, you know, we have like our little chat thread, and you're like, oh, there's a Guardians of the Galaxy game. I immediately just thought it was another, like, you know, obviously Telltale's not a thing anymore, but my brain immediately went to a Telltale
like the
style.
Telltale one? Yeah. No, it's a full game. It's a full game.
Yeah.
Single player campaign.
Interesting.
And it comes out this year.
It comes out in like October, I think.
Yeah. October 26th, I believe.
Now, is it MCU Guardians of the Galaxy,
Nope.
or is it like comic book Guardians of the Galaxy?
It's like a comic book Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Now, so far that we've seen, it uses the team from the movies. But just looking at the trailer, they're also going to introduce a whole bunch more, it seems, like from the comics, which is super exciting because the Guardians of the Galaxy like cast is so huge. It's like the Avengers. When you say the Avengers, well, who do you mean? Because like every Marvel character's been an Avenger. Well, it's the same as Guardians of the Galaxy. There's been tons of Guardians. So, you know.
Yeah, and that's definitely not a avenue of Marvel that I ever, you know, pre James Gunn's movie, I didn't even know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were.
Right.
So,
a lot of people
Same.
didn't. A lot of people did not.
Yeah, they're definitely, you know, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, they're B team, but they're not mainstream Marvel characters. You know, they're not your Spider-Mans and your Wolverines and shit. Like, where the casual audience knows who these characters are without ever opening a comic book.
Right. Well, they are now. That's for sure.
Yeah, now everyone knows who Guardians of the Galaxy are, or at least, you know, the 5 or 6 that are from the films or whatever.
But like what they showed in the initial trailer, great. You know, like the Square presentation was only like 45 minutes or so long. Yeah. And they spent like
it was really
short.
They
spent like 20 minutes on Guardians, going over gameplay and replaying a huge chunk of the trailer. And so while I enjoyed it, I was kind of staring at my watch like, guys, you got stuff to talk about. Move.
You got Final Fantasy to talk about.
You got things to do. You need to go. And so, you know, 25 minutes in, they finally moved on, and I was just like, this is classic Square. They're stalling.
So what kind of gameplay is it like their Marvel's Avengers, where it's like a team kind of focused brawler, Destiny clone kind of thing?
You only control,
because that's like an immediate fucking turnoff to me.
It's not like the Avengers, but it's that third person fighting. Like, you only control Peter, Star-Lord. But you can issue commands. Think like what's the Marvel? No, yeah, that Marvel game, the one on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
Think of like where you can do
Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, Ultimate Alliance, where you can like you can issue commands and like do your joint attacks and stuff. It has a very similar thing to that, but they described in the trailer that while you can like suggest your people, your party members to do this, as the Guardians of the Galaxy want, they may just go off on their own and ignore you. And make their own decisions.
Yeah.
So, you know, adds a little bit of chaos to the battle system. But
Is there?
you just control Star-Lord and his elemental guns.
Is it single player only, or is there a multiplayer?
Just single player.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm down for that.
Yeah. Watch the trailer
We
later.
just-
It is really.
Yeah, I
It
was
looks
gonna say
so good.
we just talked about this on the last episode where we want more single player comic book games. So apparently Square was listening.
This. I mean, they said they've been working on this for like 4 years already, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it comes out in October. I'm looking forward to it. They did the thing where they did not base the characters off the MCU versions,
Yeah.
which was smart.
They look a little weird.
They do,
But yeah.
I think that's just because we're so used to seeing them
Yeah.
as they are in the movies. But like that's what the Marvel Avengers game tried to do too. And that was the trap. You try to get close to the MCU version. Well, you can't get close. You have to go all the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say my big problem with that is you have to pick a lane. Either do the comic book iterations or do the MCU iterations, but don't try and do like the Marvel's Avengers game. Like they just look like shitty cosplayers of the MCU versions. You know?
And they were like, well, why don't they sound like them and stuff like that? But this Guardians game, they did not go in that direction.
Yeah.
So it looks very original, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds cool. Is it Game Pass?
They didn't say.
Okay, I'm not into it then.
I'll bring it over. You can try it out.
Okay, there we go.
I don't even remember what consoles they announced it for.
I know. I was gonna say, is it even gonna come out on Xbox?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say usually Square conferences, if they even do say console, they just say like plays best on PlayStation because like Square Enix and PlayStation might as well be the same fucking company at this point. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, it is launching. It looks like on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series.
Oh, it's cross-gen
Okay,
too.
so everything.
Yeah.
Except for Switch. Poor Switch.
Square Enix Montreal. What was the last? What have they done? What was the last thing they did? I keep thinking of Eidos Montreal, but I don't know what's Square Enix Montreal.
I think they do the Lara Croft games, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I'm
Deus
down.
Ex games. The Deus Ex games, because that's what everybody thought it was going to be. They knew they were working on something, and they were like, oh, it's a new Deus Ex game. And then here we are.
Okay, yeah, because Crystal Dynamics does Lara Croft, or the Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they also do
And
a
then
bunch
they
of the mobile games, like Lara Croft Go and Hitman Go, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. So what else? Did you get your Final Fantasy Jones from Square Enix, or was it a huge disappointment?
It was a disappointment. I mean, it makes sense because as far as we're talking like 16, they'll talk about 16 at the Sony State of Play whenever on Earth that ends up being, because it's a heavy hitter, so they'll want to keep that for themselves.
Right, and it's exclusive too.
It is
right?
exclusive.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
But they didn't talk about. There wasn't like any snippet about Endwalker in there. Man, now some people are pretty jazzed about this. They are taking the first 6 Final Fantasy games, like the pixelated games, the 2D ones, and they are remastering like their original pixelated form. So not like the mobile versions or like the 3DS versions of the remakes that they've made for some of them. They're taking the original pixel versions and they are remastering those. At the moment, they're only coming to Steam and mobile, but honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if they announced them for Switch during the Nintendo Direct, or maybe even for the PlayStation Store down the line too.
Are they individuals, or is it like a collection? Like, here's the Final Fantasy collection.
Well, at first I thought it was going to be a collection because they've really enjoyed their remastered collections lately. But it seems that they'll be releasing them all like one at a time. I guess to get those
Okay.
extra few pennies out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely the Nintendo model.
That is the Nintendo model.
They'll also be $60.
Oh God. I might die if they are. There's no way they will be, but that'd be
Not if they're
ridiculous.
launching on mobile. Well, what else was Square? What else is Square even doing? Besides all these Final Fantasies?
Trying to think back to the showcase, and I don't really remember
Did
a whole
they-
lot else.
That
Did they-
was pretty much it. It was a whole lot of.
Did they do anything for Avengers?
Oh
Marvel's
yeah,
Avengers?
they did.
Oh,
They talked
yeah.
about the Black Panther DLC coming, the new expansion.
Yeah.
That looked okay. It looked fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was pretty much it.
That's a game that happened.
Yep. They talked about their roadmap for the next few months for that, and I guess people were happy that they did that, but meh, it is what it is.
It seems interesting to me that Square Enix even chose to have their own showcase when they literally probably could have just put all this shit at Sony's, with the exception of maybe Guardians. And like Guardians of the Galaxy could have just been like it's Summer Game Fest. You know?
I think they wanted to do it themselves because they wanted to announce Guardians themselves. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if they did a 20-minute deep dive, I guess.
Yeah,
Guess
I
it
mean
makes
it's
sense,
the
but-
only spotlight the game is going to get before it comes out. So
Yeah, that's true.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's launching in like 6 months, then whatever.
And at the very end of the showcase, they did also announce the new Final Fantasy game, the rumored one that Team Ninja's been working on. Was it Strangers of Paradise? Final Fantasy Origins, I think it was. So we'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah, you were kind of lukewarm on the trailer from our chat.
Yeah, it's just like
So-
the aesthetics don't mix. I mean, you've got the main character coming in all angry, wearing his t-shirt and jeans, and then you've got a guy on his left and a guy on his right, all in like normal Final Fantasy gear, going to fight Garland, who's in like a giant suit of armor, and the main character's just tossing him around, and it's like that doesn't look quite right.
Yeah. Yeah, someone got their Devil May Cry mixed up with their Final Fantasy there.
That's what it looks like. It is so edgy. They say the word chaos like 85 times in that trailer. So, legit. So, we'll see.
That must be like a Square Enix corporate mandate. They send out like a number counter, be like, hey, you have to say this at least 15 times.
Yeah.
Yep, I mean, yep. I'm not really a huge Square Enix fan in general. Like, I don't have anything against them, but it's not like I get super excited for any of their shit, really. So, this is kind of just like a thing that just happened. I don't really have any opinions on it.
We'll
Guardians
see.
of the Galaxy, like, anytime that they do a single player comic book game that's not over monetized and all this other shit, like, I'm cool with that. Like, give me more single player comic book games. So hopefully that's a banger for them and that works out.
We can hope.
Yeah. Honestly, I want that Marvel IP to just start being tossed around to all these developers.
Right.
Yes.
That like Star Wars is doing, like they created like Lucas film games or whatever, and they're like, hey, anybody can make a Star Wars game now. Like, I want Marvel to do the like start throwing that IP around to everybody.
That'd be cool. That was a lot.
It was a ton.
We talked about a lot of upcoming games.
And what's
Everything.
crazy is E3's not even over.
Nope.
Correct.
Not even.
Because
So we'll have more to say about it
next
on the
week.
next episode.
Yeah. Because tomorrow's what, Capcom?
It's the only thing that has any interest to me. But it's like a full
That's
day
the
of
only thing
stuff.
Yeah, I know there's other stuff, but I think tomorrow for sure, like, the standout for me is Capcom. I'm hoping to see some Resident Evil stuff. I'm a big Resident Evil guy. And then Tuesday's the Nintendo Direct, so
Yep.
Yep.
That's my last prediction. Is they better announce Breath of the Wild 2 and for the holiday and the Switch Pro. So, we should have like put some like wagers on this, like not money, but like food or something. You know.
I definitely lost.
Well, I don't think any of us are doing too terribly hot at the moment.
No.
I'm 1.5. So, because Forza was announced, and a Mexico setting, and Starfield is an exclusive. So I'm 1.5. So that's about as good as I can expect from, you know. That's like that's a C average. That's been my life. So.
Well, okay, so we've all been pretty busy watching all these game shows and everything. Do you guys want to talk about anything else you guys have done this week? Any cool movies you've watched or games that you want to highlight?
Wade, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Well, my week's been pretty simple so far. I played a little bit more Nier, a little bit more Final Fantasy 14. I have a save file of Pokemon White I've been slowly getting through. But the big thing this week for games was the Final Fantasy VII Remake Yuffie DLC and PS5 upgrade. We played through that the other night. Fantastic. Oh my goodness. It's so good to see Yuffie again after all these years. So that was a great time.
Was that like a pretty short DLC? I mean, you knocked it out in an evening, so.
Well, it was. I played a lot of it in the afternoon and finished it up in the evening. I'd say about 5-6 hours, something like that. Like if you do everything, you don't have to do everything for the story.
I mean, that's not.
But
I feel like that's not bad.
No, it was great. It even, like, not to spoil anything, but after the ending for just the DLC, they give you a little extra part of a little more ending of the main game to kind of see where the next game is headed. Which was, they didn't have to do that, and that was super cool. So it's nice to see like the actual party, and see what they're up to after they leave Midgar a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
How's Nier Replicant going?
It's going a little slow at the moment. I just haven't put a lot of time into it. I'm only in the second half of the game. I haven't even hit the first ending, so I've still got 4 more endings to go after that.
Oh yeah, fuck! I forgot Nier has like the alphabet of endings or whatever.
But for all the endings after, you don't even have to play half the game after that. Like you don't have to start at square one. They start you back at a specific point every time. So you don't have to play through the entire game again.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be tiring.
For me, I'm still basically at the same part in Dragon Ball, so haven't really. I'm still in Goku Black storyline.
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm kind of dragging it out because I don't know. I kind of don't want it to end because I really like it, and I know as soon as it's over, there's gonna be a lull because that's just how it is with Dragon Ball.
Just watch it again.
I mean, yeah. But I'm really digging that whole storyline. But yeah, I haven't really watched too much of it this past week. I did start 2 new games. Well, new to me, not new. One of them's years old. But broke out the old Switch and fired up Hyper Light Drifter, which is just like a little pixel art indie game. I'm only like an hour into it, so I can't really speak to what's really going on. So, because it's pretty vague. There's no like voice acting or anything. There's not even like dialogue, like text. Everything's just like you go up and you talk to a person, and they just kind of show you like 3 stills. It's like a frame, like a memory, and then you swipe, and it's like another memory, and a swipe, and then you kind of have to like parse out what that means, basically. So I don't know. It's been kind of cool to just mess around with that. The combat's like You know, it's like a top-down action game. It's not like turn-based or anything. It's just like it's actually really it's like a very like quick game. You have to be like be like everything combat happens very fast and you die very easily. So it's a very difficult game. So, but I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I like the style of it. And then I started playing Genesis Noir because it's on Game Pass, and I've always thought like I've seen trailers for it before, and I always liked the whole style of it. It's really cool. It's like it honestly it kind of looks like what, you know, like when you go watch like a Pixar film and they always have like an animated short before the movie. Like it kind of has like that vibe to it. It's super minimalist. It's like monochromatic. It's a noir setting, like it's a murder mystery, but it's kind of framed around the creation of the universe. So like the Big Bang as we know it, like how the universe started or whatever. In this storyline, the Big Bang is like a gunshot. And you are playing just like you're part of like this love triangle, and you're trying to kind of stop the murder of the woman that you love. But like, you know, you're basically trying to stop the creation of the universe. But as you're investigating because like you see like the gunshot, and it's like a huge like bullet trail, but that bullet trail, you know, is the creation of the universe. So it's like millions of years are going by. You know what I mean? So as you're investigating how to stop it, you're actually watching the universe be like developed. It's fucking wild. But it's, oh man,
Sounds neat.
It's so cool. It's gameplay wise, it's super simple. It's like a point and click adventure. The puzzles are really, you know, they're not easy, like where it's not fun, where you're just like, oh my god, just get me past this. But they're not like overly complex, you know, where you're just gonna sit there and beat your head against the wall until you figure it out, you know. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. It's on Game Pass, so definitely try it out, Wade, if you can. Chelsea, you're just,
The art looks cool.
I think it's on all systems, but you know, like I said, it's on Game Pass, so it's definitely worth trying if you have that service. I can't imagine it's more than like $20 elsewhere, but god, it's such a cool game. I'm really digging it. It's got like a jazz soundtrack. It's pretty incredible. That's been like my go-to game to play at night before bed. I'm sure I've got to be over halfway, because I'm at the point now where there's like humans exist. So we're getting towards the end of time here. And then Chelsea and I been playing more Battlefield. That's kind of our like go-to game here recently. Digging that Battlefield.
Are you ready for the next one?
I mean, yes.
We didn't talk about that at all. I'm surprised.
We'll be talking about that soon.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up. Wade, that's what we call a segue.
Yes.
That's
I just wanted to mention real quickly one of the games I just started playing, and then we can go on to that segue.
Perfect.
I got a couple games. They were on sale, and one of them was called Kona. It's kind of an older game. It's a pretty short game. It's basically a first-person detective game, and it takes place in October of 1970 in Canada. And you, like, basically explore this abandoned town, and it's kind of this, like, really eerie vibe, and, like, the weather is kind of your enemy at the same time. You always feel like somebody is watching you and kind of, like, lurking around. So I did have to double check online because I'm like, is this a game that has jump scares? And apparently it doesn't.
Go to Google. Does this game scare you?
Yeah, apparently a lot of people ask that. It's a common thing to ask about this game. But the game developers are like, we don't like jump scares. We didn't include any in there. But I'm like, some of the items I've picked up so far, I have a gun and I have a crowbar. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna be attacking something at some point.
Now, like guns to kill yourself at the end.
Oh
my
gosh. Wow, that just got really dark. No, I don't think so. But it's really interesting and it's kind of cool. And I think I'm about an hour or so into that game.
Nice. Now, is this
So
on
I'll have
PlayStation?
to. Yes,
Very cool.
PlayStation.
What was the other one that you got? You said you got a couple. You haven't started
Yes.
it, but you got it.
Yeah, I got one that I've been wanting to get for a while. It's the I think it's called 1111 Memories Retold, I believe. It's the World War One game where like you're a photographer, you're like two different characters, and it like takes place across like over the war. It seems really cool.
Wait, was
like
that
a cool
that?
story.
That's not that game you were telling me about that had like a super weird aesthetic to it. Was it was like something Russian or whatever? Is that the game?
No, that's a different game. No,
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
game-
gotten that game yet.
That game is.
We will
trippy.
definitely, yeah. We'll definitely talk about that game in the future when I get that one. We'll do
Yeah.
a whole little segment on that game.
I just pulled
'cause
up like
it's-
screenshots and I was like, this just looks like someone's acid trip that they just put in the game form. This looks fucking wild.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a couple smaller, shorter games. I basically got 3 games for $10. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So those are my like little shorter games I'll play to, take a break, after I spent my whole life playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to just play a couple smaller experiences after a huge time sink like that.
Yeah, because the next game on my list is going to be a huge, huge time sink, and I don't want to deal with that just yet.
What's
Because I need
that?
to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll be playing that for years.
God, that's in my backlog too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for
I'm
now,
with you.
I'm cool with these little indie games. Seems cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that mood right now where I just want a tight, maximum 10-hour experience, Like I want, I like these little, just like kind of just blasting through a game in a couple hours. Like, totally fine with that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, so we left everybody waiting long enough. Are you ready to move on to our next segment? Where we'll
Definitely.
probably dive in a little bit more? Okay. So now we're on to our next segment, Party Chat. The big topic is, are single-player modes needed in multiplayer-focused games? And, I think there's been a lot of talk about that recently, especially with all the stuff showing about Battlefield 2042. So,
Yeah, Twitter basically
get into that.
exploded when Battlefield 2042 was, announced that there is no campaign. And, it's cross-gen, but the next-gen version is still full price, $70 game. So that's when, the internet exploded, where it's like, why should I pay $70 when you don't have a campaign? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm just going to go ahead and start. I don't give a shit about Battlefield campaigns. Ever. I never have. I don't none of them. They're all terrible. And that goes for, Call of Duty too. All the Call of Duty campaigns. Don't give a shit. That's not why I play that game. I don't go to Battlefield to play a 4-hour mediocre shit show of a campaign when I know I'm going to spend 100 hours in the multiplayer. Personally, I don't see why everyone is so up in arms about this. I get it, for the most part, recent Battlefields have had single player campaigns. So taking that away, I could see how people are like, oh well, now you're taking it away from us when we've always had it. But when Battlefield first came out, there was no fucking campaign. So it was just a multiplayer game. And no one gave a shit back then. So why now? And I don't know. I just think the whole thing is, and everyone's like, well, it's $70. Why should I pay $70 for just, if it's half a game? Is it half a game? Like,
No.
you know how big Battlefield multiplayer is? Not even in terms of like popularity, in terms of like how big that fucking multiplayer is.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about a team that is developing a AAA team with a AAA budget, developing these massive, battlefields, for lack of a better word, that look amazing. This isn't like this isn't Fortnite where everything's fucking cartoony, and those assets don't take any. Not to play armchair developer here, but I'm sure developing an asset in Fortnite isn't as tumultuous as developing assets in Battlefield. You know what I mean? Like, so $70 for a game of that caliber makes total fucking sense to me. Like, Battlefield is not a budget title. I don't know why everyone thinks it needs to be.
No. I mean, I would agree with you on, it didn't really affect me one way or another when they announced that they weren't going to have the single player campaign. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm not as heavily invested in all the Battlefield games. I've only played 5 with you, but I haven't played the single player mode yet. I've kind of thought about it just to do it because, it's convenience that, it's in the game already, so might as well try it out. But I like the multiplayer aspect of that game, so it doesn't bother me. And I think multiplayer, if you're playing it enough, it's totally worth the price.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just
equating,
if you're just equating like a dollar amount to time amount, however you want to do it, if I'm spending 60 hours in your multiplayer game, that's well worth the $60,
Definitely.
Like, it on the flip side, if, let's say Battlefield was literally just a campaign. Let's say it's just an 8-hour shooter campaign for $70. And that's more of an issue to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, games like that should be fucking budget titles. Mm-hmm. If I could beat your game in 6 hours, and it's like I don't know. Game development's expensive. Game development's hard. It takes time. You got huge staffs. Like, I don't know.
But I feel like, yeah.
I just don't understand why everyone is. I guess because Battlefield had campaigns recently, so everyone's just pissed off that they're taking them away. But I saw some stats thrown around on Twitter the other day where, like, this most recent Battlefield 5, they had like a statistic for how many people actually completed the campaign, and it was 2.7% of the player base. 2.7% actually played your fucking campaign, and now you're upset that they're taking it away? If I'm DICE and I'm sitting in my meetings about how to make my game, and someone puts up a statistic like, hey, yeah, 2% of the players actually play this campaign, I'll be like, okay, then why the fuck are we making it? Right? Am I crazy here? Why would they take half of their dev team and spend all this money and burn all this cash making this AAA campaign that no one fucking plays?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, and they have more to offer. I mean, like, but especially with Battlefield 2042 announcing their 128 multiplayer.
Yeah, 128 player. I mean, next gen consoles and PC are, the multiplayer matches are 64 versus 64.
Yeah. That's pretty epic.
Yeah, last time I checked, Call of Duty was like 8 versus 8. Or 16 versus 16 or whatever the fuck. To have a AAA title, or you're putting 128 players on a map. A massive map. And it's not just we're putting players on there. Like, you got destructible environments. You got fucking tornadoes now and all kinds of other climate things that are happening. Like, it's not like this game, they're I don't know. They're literally taking developers away from the campaign to put it into the thing that people actually like and making it better. Like, when did this become such a, like, hot topic? Wade, I know you don't play any of these fucking games. don't play shooters and stuff like that. But I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think, I don't disagree with anything that you all have said, because for Battlefield, like, what's important? Well, obviously the multiplayer. Didn't they try this not too long ago? Was it Star Wars Battlefront 2? Or was it the first Battlefront, I think? I don't know. I thought
the first Battlefront didn't have a campaign.
Yeah.
At all.
And then they got mad about it, so they put one in 2.
Yeah.
Which I liked that campaign, to be honest. I appreciated that being in the game.
I think it just depends on the party in question. Like, for Call of Duty and Battlefield, like, do you need a campaign? No, probably not. Halo, Battlefront, you probably need a campaign. Because, like, for Halo, I love Halo. I don't play multiplayer Halo because I'm really bad at it unless we have rockets and grenades, and I don't have to be so specific about where I'm shooting. But yeah, I'm there for the story in Halo.
Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people are still kind of on the soapbox was because, remember, like, a handful of years ago, some major person in the gaming industry was like, players don't want single player campaigns anymore, they want multiplayer games, and it was the most incorrect thing they could have ever said ever.
Yeah, that person was EA.
Was it EA? Because I think
EA literally came out and they're like
about that.
Yeah, EA literally came out and they're like, no one plays single player games, which is like, no one plays your single player games.
Oh my gosh. So I think it just depends. It depends on the game you're talking about, but I think a lot of the people, well, one, if it's Twitter throwing a fit, it's Twitter throwing a fit. But, it could be people still feeling like that disturbance in the force from way back then.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this comes from people being afraid of the domino effect. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, oh, well, if Battlefield 2042 launches, and it's a huge success, and EA makes millions or, a butt ton of money, and they realize that they didn't need single player, then EA's going to make a mandate to all their studios. Hey, we don't need single player. Right. Hey, guess what? Dragon Age doesn't need a single player. Let's just make it multiplayer.
Right,
Oh, gosh.
Like, I think that's where a lot of people are, like, afraid that this is going to happen again. But that's not going to happen.
No.
If I was DICE and I saw that no one has played my campaign in 4 fucking years, or the last 4 games, why in God's green earth would I spend money making it?
If you have the data to back that up, get rid of it. Put the resource into something else.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that statistic is not present in Halo.
Of course not. No.
I can almost guarantee that most Halo players play that campaign. Like, that is an actual, like half of Halo's prominence is its storyline, is Master Chief. Mm-hmm. Battlefield doesn't have a mascot. You know what Battlefield's mascot is? Multiplayer.
Yeah.
So the idea of, like, them just being like, no, this is just a multiplayer game. Great. Make it amazing. Make it the best multiplayer game you possibly can. I will give you all my money. Just fucking make it great. I don't need a dumb campaign that I'm not going to play. Like, campaigns in those games are essentially just tutorials. You fire it up, and you play, like, 10 minutes of it to get the controls down, and then you're like, okay, cool, fuck this, I'm getting in a multiplayer. That's basically what it's always been.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
That reminds me, because, in general, not all multiplayer games need a single-player mode. Just like some single-player games do not need multiplayer modes that people keep on asking for.
Yes.
Like I keep on seeing with The Last of Us 2.
Right?
Sorry, people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't need Last of Us multiplayer. Just like I didn't need Uncharted multiplayer. That's not to say that they're bad multiplayer. Because they're fun, but they're just fun. Those assets could be allocated elsewhere. Like I don't know. That a game like The Last of Us is just a story adventure. You get in, you get out, you're done. Like, I don't need this to be a service where I keep coming back and wanting to play The Last of Us. I don't want to keep playing The Last of Us. My heart can't take it, you know?
No, I know.
That's a game you play once, you put on the
Emotionally
shelf,
drained,
and you never
yeah.
fucking talk about it again until, you know, because you want to be able to sleep that night. Like, I don't need multiplayer in that.
No, yeah.
Like, I would rather just the developers just focus their time and effort and energy into the aspect of the game that the main proponent of people buying the game are wanting. You know, no one's pre-ordering Battlefield because they want that next juicy campaign. You know.
Yeah.
Just like no one, you know, I didn't buy Last of Us or the first one to play the Firefly, whatever the fuck it was. Like, it's just, it's not needed.
No.
That stuff's not needed. I don't need all my games to have all these modes.
Exactly. That's why there's so many different games, and they all have something different to offer. We don't need them all to be the same.
No,
Yeah, that's why you
not
have
at
your
all.
single player experiences, and that's why you have your multiplayer experiences, and I don't need them all meshed. I don't need a big melting pot. Every game doesn't need to be this hodgepodge of all these different. Like, arguably, like, I don't even need, like, Battlefield did this with the last iteration, where they put a battle royale mode in it. It was not necessary. That was a complete waste of fucking time.
Well, you got to get with the times, though, right?
Yeah. It's the
Yeah,
hype.
and now Battlefield 2042 doesn't have a battle royale. You know why? Because no one fucking played it. No one goes to Battlefield for battle royale. No one goes to Battlefield for campaigns. Don't waste your time and energy and your dev team making shit no one cares about.
You heard it here.
God, I didn't
There
think
we
I
go.
didn't
We
think I was
settled
gonna,
it.
I didn't think I was gonna get my soapbox out multiple times today. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I really think that's all we can say about that. We said it.
Ethan said it.
Yeah, Ethan said.
Yeah. Yep.
That segment
Ethan in
needs
a soapbox.
Yeah, that should have just been called soapbox hour or whatever.
Oh, man. Okay.
But yeah, like, I was super excited to see, like, just to focus on just the game for a second. That game looks amazing. Like, even if you're not even like a Battlefield fan or play shooters, just looking at that game in action just looks impressive. The scale of that, knowing that it's all like actual people, it's not scripted cutscenes in a campaign or something, knowing that that's just literally a multiplayer game, that is crazy to me. That looks fucking crazy to me. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it.
Let's talk about another thing that just happened this past week. The premiere of Loki. So,
God, what a busy week.
Right.
I know.
Jesus.
Yeah, so exhausting. And now we're winding down. Okay.
Are we?
So, I know
Are we really?
we're trying. Okay. So, we all watched the first episode. So, what did everybody think?
Yes.
I'll let you guys talk because I'm still fucking like shaking and shit from our party chat.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you
Okay,
guys
Wade.
take the reins on this.
Well,
Okay.
it was
Wade.
definitely Loki. I thought it was a great jumping off point. There were so much background and stuff that we learned about, and we even got a glimpse of like where it's headed, kind of. And I thought it was a great first episode.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think it was definitely a nice production and everything. I mean,
Pretty good.
I totally.
All right,
Yes.
time to
no,
elaborate.
yes.
All contrarian.
I saw
Chelsea
that
over here.
ending coming from the very beginning. The ending of that episode, I was like not surprised. Okay.
What do you mean by ending? Like that it's revealed that Loki's the one hopping through time.
Loki's the
killing people?
villain.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, totally. Yeah.
Well,
But I'm like, aren't they turning him into that villain? Because won't he become that one? Because that is the Loki that's the variant. And if you have the crazy one time hopping and killing people, aren't they just like, help us? But then he's going to turn on them. and be that one.
Well, it could be
like,
going in that direction, but it could also be another variant as well. Which is already
like this...
kind of messy. But
yeah, I feel like my brain
that's what I'm like,
already
it's
is
all
turning
messy.
into pudding just thinking about the possibilities here.
Because I feel like you wouldn't have this looping time mechanic about how there's a Loki variant and they're creating this villain right now who's also a variant. I feel like if he's a variant, I don't think like the time loop kind of thing, like that built-in structure, I don't think it would exist that way. But we'll just have to find out.
Yeah.
But I did like how the show started, and they put that part in there like where Owen Wilson's character is like interrogating Loki basically. I felt that was a great way to remind the audience that the Loki that we're dealing with now is not the Loki we've been dealing with for the past like 4 or 5 years or so.
Yeah, that was a smart way for the writers to get that across to the audience.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, Owen Wilson's killing it in this show.
He didn't say wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know he's just being Owen Wilson, which is fine.
I like him.
But I'm like, when this show was announced and he was in the cast, I was like, oh god.
That's fair. I feel that's a fair assumption.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, I'm loving his character. Like, the whole, like, when they were back in, like, what was it, like, the 17th century or whatever, and he's just, like, talking to that kid, and they're trying to figure out who this, like, murdering variant it is, and then he's interrogating Loki, and he's kind of just, like, poking fun at the fact that Loki, like, thinks he's high and mighty and shit. Like, everything about Owen Wilson's character has been great. That has been the end of all of the other characters. No, I think all the other characters, they haven't really had a whole lot of time right now, but Jesus.
Time.
Oh yeah, right. No pun intended, but like the other like TVA cops, and then like the comedic relief goofy guy that didn't even know what a fish was, and all these other
The front desk guy, yeah.
Yeah, like all those are just like, whatever. I don't know, whatever. And honestly, from like a I guess like a film, like looking at this is just like production value or whatever. I fucking hated towards the beginning where like Loki got the Tesseract and then ended up in Mongolia, and then he's like talking, and then he gets like hit with like a time loop staff, and he's just like stuck at like however many frames a second. Like that whole thing was just, it just looked awful. It looked so like, I was like, this is like the worst green screen I've ever seen in my entire life. And then you'd get like this stupid like mouth thing in slow-mo, like, and like starting an episode like that, it made me extremely nervous that the show was just going to be like this like really like bad quality cheese ball nonsense. Thankfully the rest of it was brilliant, so like how it was shot and how everything turned out. But yeah, those like opening few minutes, I was not digging that at all.
You know what the opening reminded me of? Especially when he's like going through the different areas. Oh man, reminds me of a really bad movie.
Oh god.
That you probably refuse to see. Jupiter Ascending.
Where
the chick's like filling out the paperwork or whatever to own Earth or whatever. I don't know, that whole part. It just reminded me of that really cheesiness and just
Yeah.
Yeah. But the rest of it reminded me it gave me like a Clockwork Orange vibes for some reason, like the whole TVA did.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of like that
that
they
was kinda
used
cool.
like old tech, like you know what I mean? Like their technology is like 1940s basically, like
stuck in time.
Yeah, like that was cool.
It reminds me a lot of like, is it like the organization from the Umbrella Academy?
Yeah.
You know, like they're this like time managing force, but they're like office worker based, but everything they have is very like old school.
You know what it really reminds me of? I was thinking this the whole time when I was watching it, especially during like Loki's interrogation, and they were like explaining to him like, this is your like this has to play out, like this has to happen this way. It reminded me of that movie The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I can see
It's like
that.
the exact same storyline where you have this like no-name organization just showing up and like telling Matt Damon, be like, no, you can't date this girl because you need to be a senator, basically. Like it's like the exact same like premise, which whatever. But like I was just those were the vibes I was getting, like the Adjustment Bureau.
I can see that.
Especially since they were also like, you know, they had like that kind of like 1940s aesthetic as well. But I don't know, I really liked. I was digging the show. It definitely had more like ups than it did downs, you know. But I feel like all these Marvel shows have like pretty good like starts when they kind of peter out. So I don't know, kind of see where this goes.
Well, this one does not
fingers
lead
crossed.
into a movie. It'll lead into a second season, so you know, that might help it.
Didn't Falcon and Winter Soldier get a second? Didn't they just get renewed for a second?
No, they got a movie.
Oh yeah, they got Captain America 4 or whatever.
But Loki just has Loki season 2.
Yeah.
I'll just have to wait and see.
But I definitely think it was a strong showing. I did like the little kind of like throwaway gag where Loki was DB Cooper. That's kind of funny, you know.
Right.
And I mean, and Tom Hiddleston just nails it. You know, he's just so good. Like that scene where he goes back on his own and then he just kind of watches how his entire like MCU life has played out. Like that was good. That was really nice. I really liked that.
Yeah.
But I didn't have, you know, Chelsea, you were talking about how you had like expectations for the ending and all, and you see all that stuff coming. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into this show because anything that deals with time, I just don't even want to like fuck around with. You know?
Yeah.
So this is like the one show. This is like the one show where I didn't really go into it with a bunch of like theories and stuff.
It's hard not to do that with Marvel.
I can be yeah.
I get it.
But I hope to be pleasantly surprised. You know, still plenty of episodes left. Lots of stuff can happen. This was a pretty long first episode, I feel like, for one of these Marvel shows.
Oh yeah. Hopefully they're all like that.
It was an hour, right?
It was just about.
Yeah, it was really close to that.
Yeah. Yep. It was good.
Yeah.
That's it. Just buttoned it up. It was good.
Okay. Well, we'll be ready for this week's episode.
Oh my god, yeah.
Find out what happens then. Yeah.
Yeah, winding down my ass. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's just begun.
Got a whole nother busy
We have plenty
week.
more for the rest of this week.
Basically, the next 3 days we got stuff going on.
Yeah. But I think, is that going to do it for us? This episode?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's going to do it. I don't
Yeah?
have
Okay.
anything. Wait a second, I have a whole nother soapbox. No, I'm just fucking with you guys.
Oh, no.
No,
the mic,
it's put away for... It's put away for the night. It's put away for the night.
Okay. Well, so that's going to do it for us on this week's episode of Podcast Demastered. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast so you don't miss out on the next episode. And we'd appreciate it if you would take a minute to write us a review. Leave us 5 stars and tell us your favorite game, film, or TV show in the review, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pod Demastered. Thanks for listening, and we hope you tune in next week.
Bye!